When Amy Irving was on Later with Bob Costas on November 30th, 1993, she was promoting the film Kleptomania. It sounds like the kind of movie you'd make right after you get divorced from Steven Spielberg. Lucky for her, she got her prenuptial agreement that had been scribbled on a napkin thrown out. So, cha-ching! That was the second time she dumped the director. The other time was after she made the movie Honeysuckle Rose, and this suave, debonair dude named Willie Nelson swept her off her feet, and she dumped Spielberg the first time. And then when Willie put that roach out, went back to Spielberg and ching.
Thanks for staying up later. We're happy to have Amy Irving with us tonight. And before we talk about any specific work you've done in the past and Kleptomania, which is upcoming, I don't know how many people are aware of your family background, which led you almost inevitably to where you are. Not necessarily to this show, but to a career as an actress, because your dad and mom were both involved in theater.
Yes. My father started the San Francisco Actors Workshop in 1954, and my mother was the lead actress in the company. And all three of us kids were put on the stage as soon as we were needed. I was 9 months when my call came.
You were needed at 9 months?
I was needed at 9 months. We were doing a children's theater production of Rumpelstiltskin. My dad was Rumpelstiltskin. My mom was the princess, the miller's daughter, and I was the baby that Rumpelstiltskin wanted. So that was my first job, and we were just put in shows all through our childhood.
Good reviews for your efforts in swaddling clothes?
Well, my first speaking role, I couldn't get the words out that well. I mean, I think I was pushed a little too early on. But it was a great way to grow up, because we would, Mama didn't really like to have babysitters. Every bit of money that we made had to go back into the theater. So we would either be put to sleep in the wardrobe department, fall asleep on the costumes while Mom was doing whatever play, or she'd put us in the second row center so she could see us fall asleep during 12th night, and she could just out of the corner of her eye when she was playing viola know that, you know, her kids are asleep and fine, and the theater became our second home.
How'd you get cast in Carrie? Was that your first film?
George Lucas was looking for his prime characters, his principal characters in Star Wars. And Brian De Palma was just sitting in on all of his auditions. And they were the strangest auditions you could imagine. I mean, nobody had ever heard of what an R2-D2 was at that time. And you're having to do all this exposition about the robot, and you see 3PO. I mean, it's just memorizing it all. It was very difficult. And I remembered there was this guy in the corner just sitting watching it all. And he was looking for the same age range of, he was looking for high school kids, and of course none of us were high school kids, but he was looking for that age range, people who could play that age range. And then he would just kind of write down names from those auditions, and then he went through this long audition experience. I mean, we were at his apartment 5 different times doing improvisations with all different sorts of people, and we were holding class elections, and we were doing everything. We were throwing spitballs at each other. We were just totally became high school students in his apartment. And then finally it was down to screen tests, and it was a major thing getting into that film, because it was mainly everybody's first time out.
You're in the last scene. You're the survivor who goes to the grave marker, and the hand comes out. At that time, I mean, now if someone sees it on television, or if they've seen it for a 5th or 6th time, it might not be that shocking. But in the theaters at that time, people just bolted out of their seats. And I read where they actually kept the ending of this secret from the cast.
Well, they didn't know how it was going to end.
Oh, so that's the reason why they were writing as you went along.
Yeah,
I thought there was some method to this madness.
No, they hadn't decided on who was going to survive the prom and how it was going to end. So, I mean, there was. I remember when it all came that I got to survive. Actually, in the book, Sue Snell does survive, so I always thought I had a good shot. But there were some other possibilities. But halfway through the shoot, we found out what was going to happen. But on paper, that scene looks very strange. And then she walks to the grave, and then the hand comes out, and it didn't sound that scary on paper. And then when I was shooting it, it was even odder. In my first film, and I'm having Brian De Palma tell me, okay, walk backwards, and I'm going to shoot the film forward and then play it backwards, and so the birds are flying the wrong way and the cars are going the wrong way and your dress is floating the wrong way. I'm not getting any of this, you know, and I'm floating. And then it's walk across these rocks to the grave, but you have to glide because it's a dream. And I mean, these rocks were really sharp, and I'm barefoot. I'm thinking, okay, I got to glide across these. And then they actually did bury Sissy Spacek alive. She wanted it to be her hand, so she's like in this protective box area with this hand coming out. And as I'm shooting it, I'm thinking, this is a very strange scene. I'm not sure it's going to work. And I went and saw the film alone. And because I knew it was coming, I didn't get scared. And I thought, God, it doesn't work. The scene doesn't work, and I'm the only one in it. It's me and Sissy Spacek's hand. I'm going to get blamed for this scene. And then I went on Halloween Eve to see it, and suddenly I saw this wave of people jump up at that moment.
Yeah,
it
real
was
terror.
great. It was great. It was shows how much I know.
Peter Riegert was here about a year ago, and we talked about crossing Delancy. And you, of course, play Izzy, the woman from the bookstore, and he's literally a pickle maker. And their love story was it was a very affecting love story, and not exactly what you would think would make much of a motion picture on paper. But one of the things I remember Peter telling me was that he had to convince Joan Micklin Silver, the director, that he could play this as low-key as he wanted, that she seemed to want more. What do you remember about it?
No, I remember, it was funny because when I saw the film, we had to, Joan and I had to both say Peter was absolutely right, because there were moments that he just seemed to be so understated that you just wanted to kind of light a fire once in a while, you know, to get a little energy going. But it worked his kind of laid back thing to make her come towards him, and it made for a kind of chemistry that we couldn't see at the time that we were shooting. I mean, I remember we were doing tricks behind the camera to kind of, you know, flash him or something to see if some reaction would happen, and he was absolutely right. I mean, we were wrong in such a way that he had great dignity and he had great humor and warmth, and it did make you want her to go towards him, because if he was trying too hard and if he was coming on too strong, it would make her want to back up.
I read where you said that working with Silver made you feel like more than a hired hand.
Well, she was very collaborative. Because the play, the screenplay, was written by a woman, directed by a woman, starring a woman. It was such a woman's piece, and it was such a woman's story that there was never kind of do this, do that, or whatever. It was just there was a lot of, well, girls, let's huddle and discuss what's going to happen. She was always very open to ideas, and I think it was the first time that I got into contributing more. I always kept my professional distance, and I did what the director told me, just like, you know, I was always told. And suddenly I realized that I could give more, and that somebody was going to be receptive to that. And I took more I involved myself more. Since then, I've never turned back.
Was Streisand the same way? On Yentil, was she just as open to your contributions?
Barbara knew exactly what she wanted. Yentil had been her dream for 10 years, or however long, 12 years. When she actually offered it to me, she said, you know, her passion for it, her dream for this project. And I had just gotten back on the stage. I was doing Amadeus on Broadway, and I didn't want to get off the stage. I was very happy there. And she just said, I really helped me realize my dream. And I went, you can't turn those opportunities down. I mean, that's what we're here for. And working with her, I wanted to give her everything she wanted, because she knew better than I did what this film was about, who this character was about. She'd lived it so long that it wasn't so much about collaborating. It was just kind of just doing whatever she wanted, just be there to help her realize that vision. And I enjoyed her so much because she was so warm and helpful and clear about everything, and vulnerable and fun as well, and
Yeah.
it was a great experience.
You play her wife, which sounds strange to those who didn't see it or don't remember it, but she's playing the role of a woman who can't pursue all of her scholastic interests because that's the way it was, coming from an Eastern European Jewish background, and so she has to try to pass for a young man and get into school and pursue her interests, and you wind up in a scene where the two of you have to kiss. How difficult was that for either one of you? Was there awkwardness? Was it uncomfortable? Or is it, we're actors?
Well, I was fine with it. She was actually very shy about it. When we were rehearsing, she'd never let me kiss her. And she'd get a little giggly at times. And then when the camera was shooting was the first time I kissed her.
What are you doing, Hadass? I want to look at you. Well, I can't read without my glasses.
When you told me I had the right to refuse you, you didn't tell me I also had the right to demand you.
Oh, who told you that?
The Talmud. The Yevamot Tractate, I forget what page.
63 AMY.
It's written, Anshul.
You've been studying too hard.
You told me to tell you when I knew what I wanted. But I do. And it isn't Alvador, so it's no longer a sin.
Hadass.
Shh. It's been terrible for you, I know. All this waiting. But it's all right now. You don't have to wait any longer.
Oh, God. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Hadass.
After it was a cut, I remember she was saying, God, it was not so bad. It was like kissing an arm. I guess I wasn't that great. It wasn't a great kiss if it was like kissing an arm, but no, that was fine. I actually have a kiss with Patsy Kensit in Kleptomania too. I'm kissing girls all over the place.
Back with Amy Irving. How do you think A, audiences, and B, the film industry views Amy Irving now? And do you think it's an accurate fix?
No, I don't think that's an accurate fix, partially because I think the public persona of me is probably a very sweet, nice, family-oriented, good girl. And, that's the side of me I've chosen to share with the world. People who know me know I'm not like that, but I haven't taken the same kind of risks in discovering other parts of myself, or I haven't had the opportunities. I don't know which came first, but that's changing a lot now. But as far as the industry, I don't think they bother to perceive me anymore. I mean, you get to a point where you don't make films that make money, and you're just not out there, and you're not 23 anymore. I think it's a hard time for actresses right now.
Now, why haven't you done more than sporadic work of late? Is that a personal choice, or are the calls not coming?
The call's not coming. It was. I've done 2 films in the last 2 years, and right after my last child was born, I did a run of the Heidi Chronicles here in LA at the Doolittle Theater. Right after that, there was a real down period. It was. A lot of it was an awkwardness, I think, because of my divorce. On both sides. I think I was a little awkward going back out in the world, and I think people were awkward with me.
Awkward with you because Steven Spielberg is such a presence.
He's a
in
presence,
the industry?
and even if he wasn't a presence, sometimes I know I'm guilty of it. I know people who have just gone through a divorce, and sometimes when I run into one of them or both of them at the same place, you don't know which way to look, and it's just an awkward situation for a while. It's not anymore, but...
How do you see assuming that you can make it fit in with whatever your family and personal desires are, and you get your film career back to where you want it to be, how do you see it in the future?
I never see it back to where I want it to be. I don't.
You don't think that's a realistic hope?
No, no. I think, you know, it's a flip of the coin. Sometimes you're just in the right spot at the right time, and suddenly everything can change. I've taken a different attack now. I'm working in independent films, and the opportunities for the characters and the pieces are much better. The quality of the material may not be as great. The quality of the production is definitely not very great. Mm-hmm. So you pay for it in certain areas. The last film I did, Kleptomania, was a very, very incredible character to take on, and a very interesting theme of kleptomania. My character is a wealthy socialite, deeply happily married, and ends up getting involved with a young woman who steals for survival. I steal for love, she steals for survival. And our relationship ends up taking me into a very dark side of my life, and then picking up the pieces of it.
I'm always presentable for him. Even when I'm naked, I look okay. I do everything he wants. I love my children. Sometimes when I look at them, I want to eat them up. They're so beautiful.
Miss Allen?
I don't want them to find out about me.
It was a difficult shoot. It was very fast. It was very intense, and it was a character that was so deeply disturbed that there were times I couldn't shake her. You know, I would just go to bed and I'd still wake up as her. And when I finished the film, I thought, I don't ever want to go through that again. I mean, my husband was flying to New York to make sure I didn't jump out the hotel window. I was not in good shape. And after 2 weeks with my family, I'm fine, you know. And then I saw the film, and it's a very gritty, dark film, but I was very proud of the work in it. It was, I went places I've never been before, and I wasn't even conscious of it, you know, and I was glad to have done it for that experience. Now, because we're dealing in the level that we're dealing in, whether it gets a distributor, I mean, it'll get a distributor, what kind of release it gets, there's no guarantees, but I do it for the work's sake.
You mentioned playing Mozart's wife in Amadeus on Broadway. You also won an Obie for The Road to Mecca, drama set in South Africa. Is that, if only a couple of things had to go in a time capsule, is that your best work, stage work like that?
Actually, I liked Heartbreak House, too.
My father taught me to love Shakespeare.
Oh, really? Your father does seem to be above the limit.
You never read Shakespeare, Sadie. It seems to me so extraordinary. I like Othello.
Oh, do you indeed? He was jealous, wasn't he?
Oh, not that part. Don't you think it must have been a wonderful experience for Desdemona?
I definitely am more proud of my theater work probably than my film work. I don't think I've had the opportunities to strut my stuff on film the way I have on stage.
Can someone who is an outstanding stage actor or actress ever be fully utilized on film?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think sometimes people don't cross over, sometimes they do, but I think if the opportunities are there, if the roles are there, and the directors are there, and the whole combination works out as well. I mean, I personally feel that when theater works, there's nothing like it in the world. I mean, even a great film can't touch one of the true exciting experiences in theater. I mean, I remember seeing Arturo Ui, I remember seeing Nicholas Nickleby. I mean, there's just certain moments in theater that you see that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. I think film, there are a lot of wonderful films, and there are films that can just knock your socks off. But I know, because of my theater background, those few theater experiences that were seeing Laurence Olivier on stage, I mean, it's just special, mind-boggling, and can never be repeated, you know.
Amy, it was a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Amy Irving, folks, time to hit the road. Thanks for being with us tonight. See you later.
Thanks for watching Cleveland Live Music. It's awfully bright out here. I'd click on another one of my videos. Quit looking into the sun. Your mother told you not to do that. Please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel more, there's GoFundMe and Patreon information in the video descriptions. Ooh, ooh!